Hi, and welcome to this quick tutorial on process simulation. Let's open up an empty canvas today and let's start with a process called order management process. I'm just typing in the name and then I will actually import my BPMN model through the menu by selecting the BPMN model from my file system. Once imported, you will find the entire model there. I can of course make changes to the model, but let's focus on the simulation today. I'm hitting the plus button to add a new simulation, and I'm changing actually the name that it will generate on the data side for later use. I can hit the auto configure, and that will actually look at the entire process model, capture all the activities, etc., and put some default parameters there, which I can then change. Here I can set, for instance, the simulation period, which I will now define on an entire year of 2026. At the attributes tab, I can set the attributes that are generated by the simulation as well, like order values or item counts, all attributes that make sense to an order management process. I can define all kind of values and parameters, which gives me a better data set in the end for the simulation. The same little bit for the resources. I define here the resources that are attached to my process, like an IT system, and when they actually are operating, in which rule, in which day, is it fixed, are there values distributed, etc. All configurable in the wishes that you have. On the elements itself from the process, we have of course the data that flows through those activities and the times between them. I can actually hover over these kind of icons that are belonging to the activity, seeing if a simulation is being active there. So let's go now to the starting, where I can really set how many cases are being created, from what kind of type, and what the distribution will be on a weekly or daily basis generating these processes. And then I can actually run the simulation. In the background now a dataset will be generated that will be automatically attached and mapped over the BPMN model, which will help me to visualize actually all the steps that have been created. As you can see, all the orange lines are now the connected distributed data, which has been ProcessMind on top of the model. With the process detail level, I can look at the happy path, for instance, and the more exceptional path. And I can zoom in to, for instance, change the matrices on the line for throughput times and how many cases, etc., are going from one activity to the other. Of course, I can also animate everything, where I can visualize all the cases that now run through the system. I can pause them, zoom into them, and look at the details of all these different steps that are visualized in our tool. This is just the basic elements. If I want to go deeper, I can actually add charts as well. Let's add the chart bundle here on top, which visualizes the most common things like a number of cases, throughput times, events over time, etc., which are interactive of course as well, where I can filter on the data, like I would have a real data set. We just covered the basics of the simulation engine that we have in ProcessMind. Thank you for watching.